here we are in the Honda Civic Type-R, which we've actually already driven.
Season 3, Episode 3 on Amazon.
About a year ago. It's already on Amazon Prime. You can see it. We drove it against the obvious competitor, Ford Focus RS. We had actually a great drive, great episode. It's there if you'd like to hear a different, more in-depth piece in other ways. But Honda called.
They did.
Honda called and said
they
really wanted us to have the Civic Type-R again, the 2019.
I'm so glad.
I think I know why. I think I know
where you're going. But before we get to that, I do want to say I'm glad to be back in a car that we have driven prior.
Yeah.
And then it reminds us about either how good or how bad it was.
True.
In this case, definitely good. For a while, I had thought, up until that point, there was a lacking of hot hatches. It just seems like Europe and Japan get far more hot hatch offerings than in the United States. And so I thought, well, it's nice to get back in the 2019, where there's a few changes, tiny changes.
Two major changes,
They're
both
significant,
of which
though.
are represented by this actual model that they gave us as a press car. One of the reasons I think they wanted us in it again is because I made a bit of a rant in the TV episode about a lack of volume knob. Because it had this weird little slider thing and too many touchscreeny madness. And the 2019 has two changes. One, this color, which I think is just gray, is offered for the first time.
It's nice.
Fine.
I like it.
It's been offered elsewhere, but now this gray is offered here. And it has a volume knob. And the volume knob also has actual climate control buttons below it. Buttons and knobs are back in the Honda Civic Type-R. I have nothing to rant about on that anymore. It is genuinely very better.
It really is. Yeah. It's good. All right, so this car came up when we were talking on our podcast, actually just a few podcasts ago. We were talking about cars that are either great and special or both great and special. And so I offered the Honda Civic Type-R, as it is now, as a modern example. It wasn't the definitive example, but a car that was a modern example of both great and special for a number of reasons.
Okay, all right. I don't know that I entirely agree, but keep going.
All right. Well, first of all, the styling. I still cannot help seeing on every Honda product nowadays, it's the Lone Ranger, it's the mask. They turn, put on the black mask.
Yes.
Now, the styling is, of course, really aggressive, and I have joked about cutting the wing off the back.
I don't think it'll work.
Chop the wing off the back.
I don't think it'll work. I think it'll look worse. I genuinely do.
It'll look like a Civic. It'll look like a Civic Si.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a dog with its tail tucked between its legs if you take the wing off, I think.
Maybe. So the car came out, first of all, as great, in my opinion. Well, it's a Honda. First of all, it's going to run.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. It's spacious. It's usable. It fits. You can put family in here. You can put people in here, and you can road trip in this thing. You could
certainly could. Yeah, for sure.
So, from a build quality perspective, from the fact that it's just a Honda, it's going to run, it's going to be a good car.
Let's rev match real quick. That was not me, by the way. Not me either, because you cannot heel toe this car. I have to say that real quick. The pedals are too far apart. You cannot heel toe. Rev match is a cool little trick.
Let's come back to that in just a minute.
Yeah.
So then we get to special.
Okay.
Well, yes, it does have the rev match, which is lovely, but lots of cars have that these days.
Well, and this car needs it because you can't reach the pedals.
You kind of can.
You can't heel toe well in this, which is why they gave you rev match. I'm sorry. This handles far better than it should. It has a limited slip diff up front, and it has these 20s on it, which should give you decent grip and a terrible ride. They give you great grip and a pretty good ride.
So you're exactly touching on the special part of this. First off, in all the cars that we have driven, very few cars have the personality change that this one does when you switch from comfort to sport. You've got the adaptive dampers on this car.
Yeah.
It is a dramatic change. It's not just, I think I feel something sportish.
True, yeah.
No, it's dramatic. Your heart rate increases. It actually does.
It's plugged into your...
It actually is.
Cranks your heart up. It's awesome, yeah.
And the second part is about when this car came out in 2017 in the United States, it immediately broke the Ring record, the lap time for front-wheel drive cars right off the showroom floor. It broke the record.
Yeah.
Now, this record is being, horse traded amongst Renault and VW and Honda and everybody's. For front-wheel drive cars, we're just sort of, we keep dropping times.
It's changed hands 3 times, I think, since this video started.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's that kind of war.
So it did capture the record. This car is
impressive.
More than 10 seconds faster around the ring than an M2.
That's an interesting perspective. That's a very interesting perspective, yeah.
To quantify how this car... How does it do it? A front-wheel drive car shouldn't be as good as this is.
Yeah.
And yet, it's quicker and faster than so many other cars And that's just the inherent engineering. That's
Sure.
Honda already picked the parts.
Yep.
So if you think, and I've dug into the forums at this point, if you think that I'm going to pick the part and I'm going to put the better suspension on and, we could do better wheels and tires and all this, well, Honda has gone through that exercise. They've actually made their own parts to fit the car.
You think the home R&D is not as good as what you're saying? Can't imagine why.
It can be, but if you're a good enough driver to extract better performance out of what this car can do off the showroom floor, and then, if you're tracking it regularly and you're racing the thing, great, and you know which performance parts will benefit your lap time, I say have at it. The rest of us won't be able to. It's that good.
There's a lot more car here than most people will ever use. Only comes in a 6-speed manual, which is great.
Yes.
Has genuinely really good seats from the factory, in spite of the fact that it has back seats that have got genuine room. You can go genuinely track this car and then do the school run on Monday with all the kids.
Yeah, right. Trading places.
You're so demanding.
I mean, I just want to get the car back.
I know. While Honda was doing the new volume knob,
while they were making a volume knob,
while they were going back to analog with the volume knob, could we have had a real parking brake? I know it would have ruined the cup holders, but if we're going to add analog things that make the enthusiasts happy.
So you can do the slidey thing.
Just I like that interaction. I just hate the switches that are in everything now. It's not a spaceship; it's a car.
I mean, you thought we didn't have any more to say on the car because of the TV episode, right?
Well,
wrong.
Yeah.
So the special list continues because the wheels and tires, both of them together, weigh 53 pounds.
That's very heavy.
That's
very, very heavy.
Yes. Rev-match time. Oh, and if you want to know about the shifter, because you're wondering, it's Notchy McNotch face.
Oh God,
it's Notchy.
This holds up Honda's history of making really good 6-speeds.
It does.
It is a
Absolutely.
great 6-speed. The rev-match, I think, is vital. It's a nice little tech, whatever. I think it's vital in this car. You don't have anybody in front of you. You get a better drive than I do.
That's true. Well,
yeah. But
sorry, you had the bike in front of you.
That's okay. I actually think, even though you're not even in R mode.
I'm not even in R yet.
I'll put you in R mode.
Switch me to
now
R.
You're in R mode.
Ooh, my heart rate went up.
This has comfort, sport, which is what it starts in, and R. So
Type-R
Type-R mode.
rev-match.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, this car handles really well and much better. This handles like you expect an all-wheel drive to handle. And that's the thing. Most of its competitors have been, the Golf R, the Evo, the Focus RS. Those are all-wheel drive players.
Right.
Honda drops as a front-wheel drive only. And our initial thought was, yikes, that's actually not bringing enough to the party.
Right.
And they've done a phenomenal job with the way this car handles. We recommend it on the podcast a lot as an ultimate dad car, because you can go hoon it, and then you can be very reserved, and you can get great gas mileage. It's amazing, the dual personality.
That's the special part of it. The fact that you can put it in comfort mode and commute. You can genuinely be comfortable.
Yeah.
You'll still know the seats give it away.
Yeah.
You think, all right, I'm in a hot car because, my rib cage is being squeezed, but I'm just comfortable. I do think the seats need a bit more padding, but you can commute. It's actually kind of floaty a little bit over bumps when you're in comfort mode,
which is
and it's
shocking.
because of the wheels and tires, the weight. I believe that is the connection.
This car in comfort
really
mode is actually not bad.
It's not bad at all.
The Focus RS is difficult even in its most comfortable mode. It's just aggressive.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like that, and that's shocking. Now I wish you could mix and match settings, because the steering feel is best in comfort mode, and the rest of the chassis is best in sport mode. You lose some steering feel, which isn't, it's not resounding anyway, but you lose a little bit when you come out of comfort mode. This car, honestly, shouldn't ride this well on 20s. 20s feels way too big for this car, and yet it does a surprisingly good job. This road is mostly terrible, by the way.
It's mostly terrible, yes.
And yet, I'm not feeling beat up, and we are in the stiffest mode possible.
Can't believe that.
It's shocking.
So I went and did a little bit of digging. You know how you love the Alfa Giulia? Just straight up, the steering rack ratio of that car.
Yes, I love it.
This is 1/10 better. It's a variable ratio from almost 15 to a tenth below the Alfa Giulia, and the wheelbase is 5 inches shorter.
It's darky.
Quick.
This most of the time doesn't tell you it's front wheel drive.
I agree with that.
You can get into the power coming out of a corner and you go, oh yeah, there it is. You can do it.
Yeah.
But the limited slip does a surprisingly good job of handling that. A lot of front-wheel drive cars just telegraph that. The minute you get into a corner, you're like, oh, it's front-wheel drive. Well, this hides it for a long time.
It does. Except on on-ramps when I've pegged the red line in every gear and the wheel's trying to rip its way out of my hands.
Yes.
But that's the character. I'm like, oh, there it is. There's the fun.
That's what 300 horsepower happens to front wheels. That's exactly what happens there.
It's kind of fun and spicy. I like it.
I think this is a great car. I'm with you. I don't know that it reaches special status. I think that mass market level of this might take it away from being special.
Okay.
There's a ton of these around, and I'm glad because they're great. I also am curious what the next gen is. Is the next gen this good or better? Because honestly, I wonder if this is one of those moment in time cars where we look back fondly on how good the Type-R was. I think then it might become special. I think right now it's simply great, but there isn't a good reason to not buy one. If you're in the market for a four-door car that can do all of the life stuff, and by the way, I'm going to go run a canyon or go to the track and have a blast and not apologize, this is a fantastic dual personality.
I mean, we recommend the 2019 with the volume knob because you're going to like the volume knob a lot.
Strangely, it sounds so stupid,
really
but
matters.
Get the volume knob. The little slider thing was terrible. Even Honda knows because they changed it.
Hey, dealership, hi, I'm looking for Civic Type-R, the one with the volume knob. Yeah, do you have that one in stock?
Because
I need a volume knob.
Because everything else is the same. It's same 2 liter, same 306 horsepower, same seats, same suspension. All of that is good and standard, by the way.
Yeah,
This car loaded out like it is right here, $36,500. That's a lot of car for the money.
And used, they're even better.
Yeah.
And for the next generation, who knows? Honda might call Lamborghini and say, we've got to go aggressive. On the styling, we should go aggressive this time out. What should we do?
Honestly, on the styling, one last thing before we go. I actually have gotten to where I really like this car from every angle but the direct rear. The direct rear is a disaster. There's way too much going on, but I think it looks really good from the front, and I actually love it in front 3/4. And I think the best color on this car isn't the new gray, but if you like gray, you now have gray. It's the blue.
I think it's great and special. It's a modern car that fits both. It's got this personality over here. It'll rip the wheel out of your hands, and then you just go comfort. You're just cruising.
Take the family. And then hoon the family.
Here at Everyday Driver, we're one of the longest running car shows on the web.
We are.
If you've been watching us since 2007, or you just discovered us last week, we are an independent channel and still producing original content.
Our TV show airs on the Motor Trend Network, but if you don't have cable, all the episodes can be streamed on Amazon Prime.
We host a top 10 automotive podcast called The Car Debate, with about 400 episodes and new ones airing every Tuesday and Friday. So if you've got a question or need a car, our podcast can help you.
Here on YouTube, the Fast Blasts are still here. They're going to become a little simpler, more like a video podcast, actually, mixed with a new car review.
We'll still make well-produced single-car reviews of enthusiast cars. Plus, we're adding Champs doing classics, Nate doing motorcycles, and we're even doing the occasional mountain bike review.
And if that's not enough, we do have 5 feature films, including one-of-a-kind generational comparisons of the Corvette, the 911, and the M3.
Plus, we host meetups, track days, and even a trip to the ring and spa.
We do all of that. So thanks for watching, listening, sharing. There's lots more to come.